And what we will do, what we will do today is first, I will quickly go over the files. And let me share our screen. Which one? Why it's not showing? Hold on. Okay, let me bring that one up. Okay. Yeah, this one. And so this is, so if you are going to review after class, it's, you can find the notes, the detailed notes in, hold on, the mute, oh. So you will find the note in the previous unit, in unit 1, okay? So this note in unit 1, and it's a 09 note. So it's about file, okay? So quickly go over some file information because your second lab will need to deal with file, okay? And so through this whole semester, the file that we will deal with is comma separated value files. So CSV file, data CSV files. So we mostly will deal with this category of file. And this file, it's also a flat file, okay, flat file. And not structured, okay. And it's a plain text file. And in today's class, we will also discuss JSON file a little bit. And because regarding like machine learning or data analysis, is a lot of time you may also need to first collect information from the internet, etc. And a lot of information from internet that you can collect in JSON format, is it? And then when we do machine learning or data analysis, we need to convert to CSV for convenience, is it? So today we will go over that a little bit. Some basic thing, okay? And first, let's take a look a Python file, okay? Python file. And for the Python file here, it says IO module is a default module for accessing files, okay, input, output module. And for file, generally speaking, we have an open function, okay. So for open function, you need to specify the file name and access mode. So here we have an example. We have an example. So I have a file called first file. Yes. And this file is a local file. Local file. And it's stored under my C drive and this number of folders, okay? So it's stored somewhere in my machine, okay? And so I call this open method, is it? And the access mode in this case is read. So I just want to read this file, not write, okay? And after you open this file, so what open returns is some kind of file object, is it? And file handle, a lot of time we call that, is it? And then with the file handle, then you can start to read, okay? And the read method here, it says it's all lines, okay? And if you just call read, it will return the whole file, all of the lines as a single string, So a lot of times that may not be convenient, okay? And if you specify some number with the read function, is it what it means in this case is read the first 3 letters. And later I'm going to show you this file, okay? And we can also do line by line read. Then in that case, you call the function called the read line function. Okay, read line function. So what it returns you a string, that, and then this R stripped. So stripped is to take away some white space, is it, from your string, is it? And this R means rightmost, is it? So it will remove all of the trailing white space in the lines. So you can also use it, but be careful. This is nothing to do with the file. Okay, this is a strings method. Okay, and the read line is file objects method. And then you can get the string as we can print. And for read line, you can also specify number. Is it? If we specify 2, what that means, it will read the first 2 letters. Is it? And if you do the read line 2, then you do read line again. Is it? Or if you do this loop, is it? If you do the loop for loop in what? In this file handler. Is it? What it will give you, it will return you each line. Okay, so this loop will loop line by line. So loop line by line. So after your file open, then you can loop line by line. Okay, but be careful this line, because over here you already read the first 2 letters. Is it? So the first 2 letters will be off the first line that you read here. Okay, so just be careful when you deal with the file. Okay, and generally speaking, after you finish reading your file, process your file, you need to call the close to close your file. Okay, close your file. So that's regarding this part. And let's move down a little bit. And you can also do read lines. Okay, then it will return a list. Okay, so be careful. Read lines difference versus read. Read return a single string, and read lines will return a list. Okay, so that's regarding general text file reading. And before we move on to the next cell, let's first find the file. Oh, maybe you can, so I will reshare, okay. I will bring that file here. And I will reshare that. So the file that I just show you is a CSV file, is it? If you take a close look, you will find the CSV file is arranged, generally speaking. Oh, generally it will arrange a line, arranged by lines. Is it? In each line, you will, oh, I'm not sure why it's just to keep it. In each line, it will have something, and then it will always have those comma. Is it a comma? That's why we call it comma separated. Comma separated values. Is it? So the item like here, PQR, CTC, and then some email address, is it? It's separated by comma, okay? And it's plain text. We can also see this, is it? So it's a comma separated values. So that's plain text file, CSV, and we will deal with this a lot. And I will show you another one. Let me see this one. Okay. Share. And I remember this one will be in your assignment, is it? So, and in this one, we have a lot of, you will see numerical data, is it? So this is also a CSV file, the CSV file. So you have a lot of line, is it? And in each line, you have a lot of comma, is it? Comma. So that's why we call it a comma separated file. And later on, we will say it's quite easy, okay, with another package, then you can open it, extract all of the data. So this is regarding this. And also let me show you another screen about the comma separated file. And generally speaking, for the comma separated file, if you take a close look, you will find this time I open that CSV file with Excel. With Excel. So the comma separated file can also be opened in Excel. Okay, and after you open Excel, you didn't see those commas, is it? So the each item, each value separated by comma will go to a cell in Excel file. Okay, so this is regarding comma separated file. And then next, let's go back to our notebook. So what we just discussed is reading a file, okay? And in Python, you can also write to file, okay? Write to file. And you can just do write method, is it's for plain text, okay? And you can also write byte string, that's for binary file. And you can also do write lines, okay, with some list. So that's right. And for writing to a file, same thing, you need some file handler. As it's, you still use the open method, okay? You specify the file name and where it is it? And be careful about the mode, okay, the writing mode. In this case, it's not R anymore, it's W. So W is for write, for writing. Okay, and here I also specify the encoding scheme. It's UTF -8. That is Unicode, so you're going to write something to this plain text file. Okay, and then you can call the write method with this file handler. And over here, I'm going to write this write to a new file. And I also have the /n for the new line, is it? So I will write line by line. So over here, I write 3 lines to this file. So this file will have these 3 lines. And so over here, it's the write the plain text, is it? And after you finish write, you can close, is it? And a lot of time, so in this case, it's kind of like you create a new file, whatever the first, this will go to the first line. Does it go to the first line? And if you already have the file, you just want to add more lines in the file. How are we going to do that? Then you can change the mode. Change the mode called A+. So this means append. Okay, append. So this is for an existing file. Existing file. Okay, and you open it as appending mode. And here I have this list. Is it? This is a list. This list has some strings. Is it? And then I call write lines. Is it? And then it will be written to, it will be appended to the above existing file. Okay, so that's also, and of course you also need to close. Okay, and also you will see these 2 cells regarding the same file. Is it? And because you close, in this cell. That's why over here you need to reopen again. Okay, if you don't do close, then you don't need to open. You can still use that file handler. Okay, so that's just some side notes. And then let's move down to the next one. The next one is about this two method, tail method. Okay, so tail method said it will let you know at which byte the file cursor is located. Okay, and there is another method called seek. Okay, so this method has two parameters, offset and reference point, is it? And it says the reference point are at 0, so the beginning of the file, is it? And the 1 is the current position of the file, and 2, so it has some specification about about this method. So let's see. So over here, this card, this is a list, is it? So list of string, is it? And this new file is a file handler, is it? I open that file as a pending mode, is it? And I also specify encoding mode, is it? Then I add the car's information to that file, is it? And then after that, you call the tail. Is it you call tail? So this tail, then it will tell you at which byte the file cursor currently is located. Is it? So when you do read and write, the file cursor is moving. Is it? So that's a lot, but a lot of time you may want to know where you already read the file, where the file cursor is. Is it? Then you can borrow this function called tail, is it tail? And over here, if you take a look, it will tell you, so it's not at 0, is it? It's not at the beginning of the file, is it? It's somewhere the most current you just landed, is it? And then if you call the seek, is it? What a seek will do is it will set the cursor at the beginning in this case, because it's at 0. Is it at 0? So over here it says 0 is the default, is the beginning of the file. If you do 1, then it's the current position, is it? So it will start at the beginning of the file, is it? And then when you do reading, is it this for loop kind of like reading, is it extract line by line, is it? So did you see it start from the beginning of the file, is it? And do that. If you don't reset the seek, it won't, so your output won't start at writing, it will start at the cursor wherever it landed the most current, okay? And then if you do something like this, seek, the first parameter, second parameter, is it? And the first parameter is what? Is offset. Is it offset? And start at where? Start at beginning, is it? And so it will read from the 4th character of the line. Okay, so be careful. So it's very flexible when you want to deal with files, reading where the cursor is. Then you can use tail and seek. So that's regarding those information. And what next one shows for the file, is it same thing? We create the file handler, is this is only for reading, is it? Then in this case, we use the range to do the loop, is it, to do the loop? And then in this case, how do you get line by line, is it? You can call next also. So next will also give you the next line, okay? So there are just a number of ways that we can play around with file. Okay, then the next discussion is about JSON file, okay? And maybe you can try this with this master's lab, okay? or project. Okay, so you can also do like maybe a web crawling, is it, from some JSON of information, is it, a file, and then you convert to CSV, then you can do machine learning. Is it, because through the internet right now, a lot of information is through JSON because of the API, is it, so JSON file. So what is JSON file? JSON file, the complete name is JavaScript object notation. Okay, notation. And JSON, it's identified by a JSON object. Okay, and the JSON object is what? Hold on, waiting room. Okay, for JSON object, it's identified by a pair of curly brackets. Okay, so JSON object, it's a pair of curly brackets, and within it, it's a key value pair. Okay, key value pair. And for JSON, key must be string. So this must be string. Okay, and the value part is very flexible. It can be string, can be number. It can also be other JSON object. Okay, so the value part can also be curly brackets, some other JSON object. Can also be array, can be Boolean, can be null. Okay, so this is regarding JSON object. And in JSON, the square brackets holding what? Hold arrays. So you can have square brackets. Is it within square brackets? You have curly brackets. Is it curly bracket? So this is one JSON object, another JSON object. Is it? So just so in JSON, the square brackets represents JSON array. JSON array, okay? So that's the general idea about JSON. And then let's see, how do we do it? Okay, so here it shows, so here you have a list of string, is it? And this list of string, if you want to store it or convert it to JSON, is it? Or you can write to some file, JSON file. Then what you can do is you need to import JSON, okay, module. And then you can call the dumps method, okay. Then what here says convert Python data to JSON string, okay, to JSON string. And you can also write to it, to a file over here, like this part of showing. That's not the major thing we are interested here, because we interested to get a JSON file to read, okay. We're not very interested in writing. We're mostly interested in reading, okay. So let's see. Over here, we have a JSON file. So this JSON file is local, okay. It's under my computer C drive, some folder, is it? So I will open it as reading mode. So this is the same thing. And read and the file handler. So this is the file handler. File handler, is it? After you open this file handler, and be careful, okay, whenever you want to use JSON, you need to import the JSON. Okay, JSON module. And you can call the load method. Okay, load method to load the JSON file. What it does is it converts JSON string to Python data. Okay, Python data. And then we can print it. Is it? So what it looks like, if you take a look at the output, is it? We have the square brackets. Square brackets of what? It's JSON. It's a list in this case, is it? And in JSON, it's array, okay? But it is a list in this case. That within it, let's see, we have curly brackets, is it? this curly bracket. And with this curly bracket, you see it has color and then colon and then black, comma. Is it? So this is one key value pair. Is it? And then we have second category colon and Q. Is it? So this is second key value pair. And with the third, we have type and primary as a key value pair. And the next one, let's take a look. The next one is code. Is it? Code and then colon. But did you see after the colon, we have this pair of curly brackets. Is it? Within the curly bracket, you also have key value pair. Is it? So this is key value. Is it? And then this is key value pair as a curly bracket. And so this is a JSON object. JSON object, is it? And this JSON object, this is key, is it? And this is value part. This whole thing is a value part. And then we have closing brackets. Is it closing bracket? And then we have comma. Is it? So this is the first JSON object. Is it? And then we have comma, then the pattern repeat. The second one start with color, category code, and category code, yeah. And the third one is it color repeat again, this pattern. So that's why over here it converted to a list. Originally, it is a JSON array. Is it in the original JSON file? It arranged as a JSON array. And so that's this part. And let me give you the view of the original JSON file. Share screen. Okay, so this is my original JSON file, color.json. Is it? This color.json, if you take a close look, you will see, is it? It starts at the square brackets. If I scroll down all the way, it's ending with another square bracket, is it? So square brackets means it has an array of JSON objects. Is it? JSON object. And then if you take a close look, did you see? Oh, is it? We have the first JSON object. Is it? First JSON object. It has this pair of curly brackets and comma. Is it? And within it, you have key value, and then comma, key value, comma. Is it? This key, then it has another nested level of JSON objects. It's a key value. Is it? And then you have, oh, and then we have the second one. Oh, why it's always. Then we have the second JSON objects. Is it? And the third. Is it a lot? Is it? So in the real world, in internet, a lot of API, what you receive from the API side, they will go through the internet as JSON file, okay? Okay, let's then go back to our notes. Share screen. Go back here. Okay, that's regarding JSON, is it? And how do we load it? Okay, so you call the load method. And then what next one? Let's see. The next one, what I'm showing is how do I get this hide num-zip? Okay, let's get here. And then next, let's see this cell. This cell. So for this cell, I import a JSON module as it. Then I open my color JSON file as reading mode. So as this file handler is it. And then I load the JSON. So what it does convert JSON string to Python data. Is it? This is a Python data. And what we already see, it's a list. Is it? It's a list. And you can do print. You will see it's a list. Is it? But what over here I'm trying to show you is then we can use loop. Is it? Because anyway, it's a list, is it? So you can loop through the sequence, okay? But as we said, each record is what? Each record is identified by that pair of curly brackets. The pair is JSON object, is it? It's basically key value pair. Is it? So basically it's our Python's what? Python's dictionary, is it? Python dictionary. So that's why you can specify key and get the value, is it? So get value via key here. Is it? That's how we retrieve. So each record, is it? Each record is a Python's dictionary, basically here. Is it? Python's key dictionary is key value pair. Is it? That's how you get, you give the key and then you will get the value. Is it? So that's why over here you see the first one, you get color black. Is it? And then the second key is category. Is it? And I will get the value hue. Is it? For the third one, you remember under code. Is it? It's a little bit more complicated. Is it? It has another level of JSON object. Is it? So if I just do this, if I just record the type, oh, not the type. If I just do record a code, is it? What you will see the output is the JSON object. Basically, it's the Python dictionary output with the curly brackets, is it? But I wanted to decouple more, is it? Decompose more, is it? So then what you can do is, this is the first level, is it? The key. And under it, you specify the second level of key, is it? A second level is RGB A, is it? So red, so color is three component, red, green, and blue, is it? And A represent alpha channel. Alpha channel. Okay, for normally for our RGBA, okay, mode. And you get to the second level, then the hex, is it? The hex is a keyword, is it? And over here, take a look for the type. For the type. For the type, because in this specific file, is it? And generally speaking, we should do everything for this. For this one, I do the get, is it? I didn't do the index kind of key retrieving. I call the get method, and then type is the key. And who remembers what this serves for? With the get, I have two parameters here, key, and what the second one is. Who still remember that? Who still remember regarding Python dictionary? Do you still remember? In Python dictionary, we discussed in some special cases, what do you need to handle?
Keys and values.
Yeah, very good. So over here, this is for the default value. Okay. default value, because sometimes in this file, if you take a close check after class, you will find some type it doesn't provide any value, the key, okay? Then if you don't do this, it will cause error. So that's why when you do your file processing, you need to pay attention to the default part, okay? And generally speaking, we provide as non, as it. Okay, so that's regarding this part. And then let's move on. Okay, the next one is about buffering. Okay, the buffering for our case, mostly local file doesn't matter too much, okay? But a lot of time if you get a file from network, that and network speed may impact your downloading the file, is it? So if you, a lot of times is the idea is you can buffer part of the contents, is it, from the stream, and then start processing. That's what we call buffer, okay? And because here we don't use we're not going, so I'm not going to go to detail. After class, if you're interested, you can read this part, okay? And the encoding scheme, not too important. Okay, the next one, let's see, the CSV, oh, this is not this one, okay. So this is note 09 for the file one, we complete, okay. Then let's go back to the other part. I needed to, this one, yeah. Okay, share screen this one. Okay, then let's go back to our NumPy. Unit 2, okay. In Unit 2 NumPy, that quick start. We are done with the basic NumPy processing, is it? And over here, the leftover part is about some files, okay, file processing. And we just already went over some basic information about file processing, is it? And over here, what I'm trying to show is, if you take a look at this iris data file, this file is from HTTPS, is it from internet? And this archive, okay, uci.edu, the archive.ics is a very classic machine learning data repository. Okay, so there are a lot of database, okay, on that data repository, a very classical one, okay. If you read a lot of other machine learning books or materials, you will find a lot of people use the database data set from that data repository, okay. So how do we retrieve some data repository from some online place, is it? So over here, you specify the file place, is it? And what over here is in NumPy, is it? And NumPy, you can also get data, okay, from file. So for this specific function, it's called generator from text, okay? And you specify the file location, is the file location. And if you take a look, the file basically is just something like this: 5.1, 3.5, 1.4, 0.2, and iris. And later on, we will use this a lot. Okay, so it's just some numeric data, and the last one is a string. Okay, very straightforward. So, but it's separated by what? Comma. Is it? So this kind of like a CSV file, is it? So you're going to open this file, is it? And as what is the data type? Here it says it's object, is it? And after that, if you do slicing. This is of a slicing, is it, in NumPy array. What it returns is NumPy array, is it? And you will see this, is it? But be careful, okay, this is regarding what? It's regarding object, okay? So this is the regarding how do we get a file. And a lot of time over here, you can use the other method also, okay? So same thing, you specify where the file is it? And you can call NumPy's load text method. And this time we do the load text, is it? Specify where the file is. But here, the data type. So the data type, because that file we see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each line has 5 values, is it? So you are going to specify when you retrieve them, what data type you're going to retrieve as. So here it says, okay, the first one I will treat as float, the second one float, float, float. The last one is string, is it? And it's delimited as comma. So using comma to do the delimiter, is it? And sometimes your file may have, suppose 20 columns, is it? But you are only interested in the first 5 columns, is it? Then you can specify, okay, which column you're going to retrieve the data, okay? So first here it says, okay, I will just use the first 5 columns, is it? First 5 columns. And then over here it shows if you want to see what the load text returns, is it? Here it says load return where is it's what? It's an ND array, NumPy array. Is it? That's the data type is. And you can do slicing, nothing new here. This is indexing, get the first item. And this is to see how many rows of so your the data, the ND array shape, is it? So we will say it has 150 records. Okay, 150 records. So what is the next part to try to show? So let's see. What the next part try to show is, then I'm going to loop through the arrows. This is ND array, is it? So I can loop, is it? Because it's some kind of sequence, is it? So you can loop, is it? And loop each of the record, is it? Each of the record is a sequence of this type, is it? This type. And because over here, my purpose, okay, the original one, okay, so over here, because later on in our machine learning, mostly we will just use numeric data, is it? But for this specific one, the last one is a string, and I don't need that. I need to get rid of that, is it? How do I do that? And also, I want the NumPy array be all holding numeric data, is it? So the way here I did is, the first I convert, is it? Convert the NumPy sequence, is it? To a list, is it? And then it will keep all of their data formatting, is it? Then I remove the last column. Okay, remove the last column. And then I append this list. This list will have, like, the first line will be this 5.1, 3.5, then 1.4, 0.2. This is the first list, is it? This is the first var, is it? And then the second var you are going to have is 4.9, 3.0, 1.4, 0.2. This is the second one, and the third one, and the following. Totally, I have 150. Is it 150? So what I'm going to do, I create another list, iris list. This is a list, is it? And with this list, what you're going to do, you're going to append this var to it, is it? So what you're going to have, you're going to have this first one appended, second one appended, third one appended, is it? Then this rs list is what? It's a 2D list. Is it 2D list? Two-dimension list. And you see, I can see some of the information, is it? So here I do slicing the first three, is it? Yeah, the first three from the list, is it? It's the dimension is what for this list? It's 150 by 4. Is it 150 by 4? And then you can convert it to NumPy array. Is it to NumPy array? So to do it, you just call np dot array. Is it? And then this rs array. This is a NumPy array. ND array. Is it? Then you convert to ND array. And because a lot of time we need to do a calculation, is it? Then if you use array, ND array, it will be much simpler, is it? So that's what this part shows. And then next, let's see, we can also do something like this. And what this part shows is we can also do URL open, okay, from this URL lib.request module, okay. So over here, so this is the URL address of the specific file, is it? And then you can open it through URL open, is it? And get the file handler, is it? And over here, okay, over here, this line, what we get is some object, okay. You will see it has some byte something, is it? So that's not a Python string, is it? So what over here I want to do is I want to convert it to a string, is it? So the way you do it is do the line and specify the encoding mode, is it? Then it will take off the byte and we'll leave it as a string. Because over here, what I'm interested in is I want to extract every single data out, is it? And then the way to, because it's comma separated, so then I can call strings split, is it? After I convert it to string, is it? Convert to string, then I can get each one out, is it? And I delete the last column of the row, is it? And for this row value, then it is going to be a all numeric number, is it? All numeric number. So for I in row, so row is what? Row is basically it's a list of string. It's a list of strings. So what it looks like is to have 5.1 and then 3.5 and 1.4 and 0.2. Is it? That's what this row has. Okay, that's what row has. And be careful, okay, line is a different story. Line is B 5.1, B 3.5. Okay, so that's why here you need to call this string to convert it to string. And after I got string, I can do split, as I get each one out. Get each one out, I want to convert it to numeric. So that's why here I call float to convert it to numeric. And who still remember what this is? This is square brackets and then for loop and something. We learned that. That's one of the Python's best feature. What do we call that? Who still remember that? It's list what? List what? COM. I strongly recommend in your lab, you try to do this a lot. List comprehension. Okay, you see it's how part so that you don't need to use another loop, is it? Another loop, okay? So we get it converted to numeric value, is it? Then I append it to the list. This list I want it to be numeric, is it? And then I same thing called array to convert it, okay? So that's this part. And then the last part is how do I convert to CSV? And there are some other way to convert, okay, to CSV. So this is just a very raw one, okay. And if you want to convert, you need to import JSON, import CSV, is it? And for the CSV file, then the writing mode is what? Is W. And here I also use the new line. Get rid of new line because otherwise in Windows, it's only Windows. If you use the Linux, it's going to be different story. And you can try, okay? And if you use Windows, then you need to provide this last parameter, okay, setting. And you need to call the CSV, okay, write to the file handler, okay. Then here, same thing, I open the JSON file, is it? And then I do line by line. Reading, this part we already explained. So now the question is, how do I write to CSV file? Is it? So for each line of that color JSON file, is it? I want to convert to CSV, is it CSV? So this first line. So if it is the first line, because it specifies the column name, and we will see later on for our CSV file, column name is quite useful, is it, for CSV? So that's why we need to have this specific write row. This write row is for what? Is for the CSV writer, is it the writer file handler, is it? And then you provide the CSV files, CSV file header. This is the header part, okay? And then for each line, is it for each line, you just do write row. Is it quite simple, okay? You have the square brackets, is it? So you have the value. Here you don't, this record color, this will get value. Is it value? Your CSV file will only hold value, okay? All of the key is where? Is at the header. So this holds the keys, is it? And then all of the remaining 100, this is not 100, this is that color. So the number of lines are all about value, is it? So this is value. And here you also provide some default one, is it, for the value in case if the value doesn't exist, is it? So that's regarding how do you also convert a JSON file to CSV. And if you are interested, you can also go online to find there are some other easy way to do it, okay, to do it. And that's the major information